noticed as I walked up here that my foot is in an air cast. In March, I was playing volleyball, and it was playoffs, and I was probably playing a little bit harder than I probably needed to, considering it was just a rec league. And I came down from a spike and landed with all of my weight on the side of my foot and broke my foot and my ankle. So for 6 weeks, I was on crutches, couldn't put any weight on the foot. I was hopping around everywhere. So I want to ask you guys something. So like if you were coming into your office or a restaurant or out anywhere like that and you see someone coming up to the door using crutches, do you think that you'd go out of your way to open that door for them? Probably, right? It's a nice thing to do. Well, now I want you guys to think about what bias might hide behind niceness like that. So, as Renata said, my name is Mark Farr. I'm the diversity recruitment consultant for people with disabilities at the City of Edmonton. It's a role that I've been in for almost 5 years now. But my background before that is actually from the nonprofit disability employment field. And since we're talking about complexity today, let me tell you a little bit about the City of Edmonton. We have 7 departments of the city, each of which runs kind of like its own company with its own branches and sections within it. One of our leadership principles at the city is we are one city. And considering the size of the city, with just under 15,000 employees right now, we do a good job of working together, but it was still pretty intimidating for someone who was used to working in nonprofits where the employee size was more like 30, maybe 40, to come into. It took me months to figure out the organizational structure, and then they changed it. With my role, it's imperative that I know how to navigate through the complexity and find ways to build relationships everywhere. So to tell you a bit more about my role, I'm responsible for all of the initiatives that try to increase the number of employees with disabilities in our workforce. That involves a lot of external and internal work, a lot of education and relationship building with citizens, service providers, and hiring managers and leaders of the city. Another big piece is creating and then managing different programs that provide employment opportunities for people with disabilities. And that leads me to the reason why I'm up here talking to you, and it's the Ability to Work program. If you haven't heard of it before, don't worry, I'm going to be giving you all the details. But it's a program that's built upon and succeeds because of relationships. And I want to tell you guys the story of how it came to be. So it's early 2013. We received a request from Mayor and Council, and I know there's a few councillors, Councillor Walter, and I think I saw Councillor Matt around, to look into what employment opportunities existed at the city for people with intellectual disabilities. We looked into it, and we're an equal opportunity employer. We want qualified people of all backgrounds applying in our jobs. Part of my job is helping people with any kind of disability with their applications after all. But here's the problem, and we're all here today, so you all probably already know this, but people with intellectual disabilities face different barriers than people with other disabilities. At the city, we have a really transparent and regimented recruitment process, with a competitive selection process and scored interviews, and this works really well 98% of the time. But what about the 2% of Canadians that have an intellectual disability? If a part of their disability involves communication, maybe the ability to comprehend language or produce language, or involves memory or reasoning, how are they ever going to score high enough in an interview to get the job? And that assumes that their resume is strong enough to get an interview in the first place. So we realized that inadvertently, we weren't really offering any employment opportunities for people with intellectual disabilities. So rather than trying to figure out a solution to this on our own, we went out and had meetings with service providers like Gateway, nonprofits who specialize in employing people with intellectual disabilities. We met with employers who had already hired people to hear about their experiences. I won't go over everything we learned, of course, but the 2 most important pieces we heard were, one, that the positions needed to be customizable and flexible, as opposed to being strict and prearranged, so that we could create an ideal fit between an employee's abilities and the needs of the business. And second, that there needed to be support for the positions, ideally from external service providers. So if we wanted to be able to create these customizable positions, we knew that we need to do something new, and something unique from our typical recruitment process. We needed to create a hiring program where we could create positions that didn't duplicate our existing positions that we were already hiring in our team. So again, we decided not to do this alone. Internally, we formed a program steering committee made up of experts from within the city who would help with all the pieces that we would need to be able to put into place to turn this idea into a reality. And the head of that steering committee is here today, Jeff McPherson. He's our Human Resources Branch Manager, and I need to point him out just because without his guidance and passion towards the program, it never would have happened. So along with the steering committee, we also formed an external partnership with 4 service providers in town. One of them is Gateway Association, and we've got a few others that I know are out there in the crowd, Crystals, Employabilities, and Inclusion Alberta. The reason that we created that external partnership, besides the fact that they're all experts in the field, is because we knew that rather than creating a position or two of calling it a day, we wanted to create a full program that would be able to provide a service to the entire city. And I already talked about how complex the city is, right? By forming this partnership with the service providers, each of which had their own list of job seekers that they supported, we knew that combined we would have an excellent pool of candidates to draw from. With a partnership with service providers, we not only knew that every employee that we hired from that pool would be extremely well supported, but also that there would be an invaluable resource for the supervisor and the coworkers to be able to draw on. So it was during all this work that we started to realize just how strong our business case for a program like this was too. Because if you look at a business closely enough, almost every business, every team has some tasks that either aren't getting done often or sometimes aren't getting done at all. Or they have tasks that are being done by people that should be focusing on higher priority tasks that properly leverage their education and experience. These are often routine or very repetitive tasks, but those are the exact kind of tasks that are desired by a lot of people with intellectual disabilities. So our customized positions could be of a real and meaningful help to these teams by going in and carving out these tasks off of other employees' workloads, help free up their capacity, and by helping to complete that routine work that often builds up because it's neglected. So getting this program going, kind of like just like Maureen said, was the smart business thing to do, not just the right thing to do. So as many of you guys know, in the City of Edmonton, we have a heavily unionized workforce, about 85% of our employees being part of one of 6 union groups. Since we wanted to create a program that not only goes through the typical recruitment process, but also involves carving out bargaining unit tasks to fill these positions, we knew that it would be impossible unless we had a partnership with the Coalition of Civic Unions. So we approached them and had some great discussions around what the challenges and concerns could be, and ultimately what a program like this could do for the city's workforce. I could tell you myself how supportive they were, but you're actually going to get a chance to hear about that exact thing from Greg Kolubowicz, the president of the Edmonton Firefighters Union, after me here. So by now it's summer of 2013. We had our partnerships in place, we came up with a name, the Ability to Work program, and I guess it's time to start creating positions, right? So we got off the ground by staying close to home at first, drawing once again on the different work relationships that we had to identify some diversity and inclusion champions that we knew we could approach about creating some of these positions. One of the very first positions was actually created in recruitment. At the City of Edmonton, we have a few leadership principles. I already talked about one of them. Another one is we do as we say, and that pretty much comes down to walking the walk if you're going to talk the talk. So how could we go out and ask other business areas to create a position if we couldn't even create one of our own? So we created the employment support clerk position, and well, the employee that we hired into that position, Avril, she's been in the role ever since. That's over 3.5 years now, and she's actually here today. Avril used to work at Gateway as an office assistant as well, so I like to say this kind of stole her away from me. Avril's tasks have changed over the time she's been with us, because the way that we do business has changed, and her position being flexible has adapted with us, and because we've learned more of her strengths and built-in tasks around them. But she's done everything from creating and filing recruitment documents to working over at our digital career center at City Hall, and keeping our employment opportunity postings up to date with it. Avril's as much a part of our recruitment team as anyone, and I would actually argue that she's been more involved with her team than I am because I'm out of the office so much. I also wanted to highlight the Kinsman Sports Center, partly because we also have an Ability to Work employee here with us, Alex. But mostly because they not only created one of our early positions there, but they've continued to be one of the program's best supporters since. And they now have 3 Ability to Work employees working at the Kinsman, all of which happen to be supported by Gateway. They're doing a variety of tasks from customer service in the field house to being a concierge in and around the locker rooms. Besides these couple examples, as far as the program growth went, the more positions we created, the easier it became to promote the program, because we had evidence to point to that it was working, right? So after a year, we brought the program and its results to City Council, and they were extremely supportive of it. They actually challenged us to do even more of it, to expand it and build it up. So of course that's what we did. You don't say no to City Council. We brought in 2 more service providers to our external partnership so that we'd have an even bigger pool of candidates to draw from. And we went back to our union partnership and worked together to make improvements to the program, like increasing the cap on the number of positions we'd like to create, increasing the number of hours that ability to work employees who work per week, and providing even more support for supervisors and co-workers. So I'm proud to say that thanks to the work of so many different people, as of today we have 36 abilities at work positions at the City of Edmonton. Positions that range from office assistants to municipal garage, technical team supports, to EPS, police cruiser cleaners. Now when I'm talking about abilities at work, about the program, to people that are in positions that are similar to mine, maybe from other employers or other municipalities, I'm often asked what the challenges have been. There's a lot of little things that I could say to that, but I'd rather talk about the biggest one, and that's people's attitudes. So I'm sure everyone in this room is familiar with the negative stereotypes that are often placed on people with disabilities, and especially people with intellectual disabilities. More often than not, people think of and make assumptions about what someone with an intellectual disability can do. They put limits on them. They're thinking disability first rather than ability first. And a lot of the time that's not happening on purpose, thanks to the unconscious biases that we all have. We all like to think that we're sensitive towards others and self-aware, but it takes a lot of work to see how our unconscious biases color our perceptions of others. So let me jump back to my broken foot here. Remember how I was asking you guys about what bias might be behind that decision to go out of your way to open a door for someone on crutches? So the underlying thought there that makes you want to be nice and help? Well, it's the notion that opening the door by myself would be either impossible or at least really difficult, right? So therefore, by opening the door for me, you help me avoid a difficult or maybe embarrassing situation. But here's the thing, because most of the time I was by myself, I had to learn how to open doors by myself, even while on crutches. And I got pretty darn good at it. But whenever I was with other people, I never got the opportunity to show that because they are always jumping up to be nice. So you might think that I'm being pretty silly here right now. We're just talking about someone opening a door for someone with crutches. It's just a nice thing to do. What am I complaining about? And if I'm being honest, yeah, I did actually appreciate when people opened the door for me. But here's the thing, my broken foot is healing. It's a temporary condition. So what if, rather than talking about me with a broken foot, we're talking about someone with an intellectual disability, which is a lifelong condition, not a temporary one. What if, rather than doors, we're talking about jobs? Thanks to the unconscious biases so many people have about what people with intellectual disabilities can't do, there's going to be hiring managers that assume that the work in their business would either be impossible or at least really difficult for someone with an intellectual disability to be able to do, even if that's not true at all. Bottom line is they're not providing the opportunity because they don't want to set someone up for what, in their mind, maybe unconsciously, could be a failure or an embarrassment. They might even outwardly be someone who strongly believes in inclusion and thinks that there should be more employment for people with disabilities, but doesn't ever actually hire someone themselves because the work in their area is inappropriate for someone like that. So I challenge anyone like that to consider their unconscious biases. So I've talked a lot about how many people are involved with abilities at work and how many relationships there are that help make it successful, about the impacts that negative attitudes can have. But Greg Golubowicz is someone who definitely don't have to worry about having a negative attitude. I remember when we were initially discussing the program with the Coalition of Civic Unions, and it was Greg that said to everyone, we should have done something like this a long time ago. So with that, please help me in welcoming the President of the Edmonton Firefighters Union, Greg Golubowicz.